Do you ever wonder why people who are burnt out try to take over? Hi there, and welcome back to Ask Dr. Saira, the show where I answer your questions about spirituality, personal growth, mental health, and relationships. So today's question comes from Christopher. Christopher says, why do people who are burnt out try to take over? Why do people who are burnt out try to take over? I've noticed this too. That when people are kind of coming to that edge and they're just kind of done, one of two things can happen. Either they completely retreat and they kind of shut down and there's a kind of a breakdown, or they become really, really controlling. Like they really want to be the ones to do everything, have everything their way, and it's almost like a big frenzy that they can get into when they're burnt out. So why does this happen? There's a few things, I would say three things that I'd like to suggest of why. There's probably more, but the three things that come to mind for me are the following. So the first is that they feel like they're losing control, right? When you're burnt out, when you don't have agency over your own time, your body's kind of not cooperating, you're exhausted when you want to be rested, you feel like you're losing control. And so what do we do when we're losing control? We try to take back control. And how do we take back control? We take over, right? We become pushy and we have an agenda and we insist that people do things the way we want them to do them. So that happens exactly because we feel like we're losing control. So we try to take control. That's one. The second thing is people who are burnt out are often high achievers, right? And so as high achievers, they have high standards. And often high achievers who have high standards want things done in a particular way, right? And so usually when they're not burnt out, they can kind of like negotiate and make you feel okay about doing it their way. But when they're burnt out, they lose. One of the things that happens when we're burnt out is we lose that kind of social engagement, reasonable, rational, kind of massaging the relationship. We lose the capacity to do that. The part of our brain that does that is overwhelmed. And so we go into do it this way. We go into kind of a dictatorial or a descriptive, demanding way of interacting with people. And so that's another thing that happens is that their belief that things have to be done a certain way can come out kind of harshly. That belief is probably always there for high achievers and people who have high standards, but now the way it's coming across is a little bit more direct with a little less kind of finesse. And so you're noticing it more. So that's another reason that they might seem like that they might always have kind of taken over, but now it's more obvious because of the delivery of how they're talking about what they want done. The third thing that I've noticed, and I don't know if this is just about burnout, I think this is a larger conversation, and this is something I've noticed, especially in my volunteer experiences in different communities. I find that people who feel disempowered in most of the areas of their life, when they find something that clicks with them or they find an opportunity to have a little bit of leadership, a little bit of leadership opportunity, they can sometimes go to an extreme with that. It's like, I don't get to have control anywhere else in my life, so I'm absolutely going to have control in this area and it's going to be done my way and I'm going to take over and I'm in charge. So that is symptomatic of a bigger issue, right? It's not about burnout necessarily. It's about this feeling of powerlessness. And so when you have powerlessness in all these other areas of your life and finally you have a chance to be in charge, you might be a bit clumsy with that and not really know how to do that gracefully. And so that's another thing that could be going on. And so I would say that those are some of the reasons why that people who are burnt out may take over. Now, that's talking about the people who are burnt out and why. What if you're the person, right? What if you're the person who finds yourself like taking over and, being kind of pushing people or being bossy or trying to always be in charge or trying to have it done your way? What do you do about that? I want to speak to that because I'm one of those people and I have been one of those people who was really controlling and wanted things done a certain way. And when they weren't done that way, I'd be disappointed or irritated or I'd redo it. And it was exhausting for my loved ones, right? It was exhausting for them that things had to be always done a particular way. So one of the things I've learned to do over the years is when I'm feeling that kind of controlling feeling, like wanting to control, when I feel that coming on, I stop and I check in with myself, what's going on? So usually it's something to do with I don't feel like I have power here. I don't feel like I'm being heard. I think I know a better way to do things and nobody's listening to me. Like there's these different things that could be going on, but I kind of have to catch myself, stop and check in. I might do some journaling about it. I might talk to a friend about it. And I just kind of like work through that controlling that part. Because remember, it's not that they're a controlling person, it's that there's a part of them that's controlling. There's probably also a part of them that's very relaxed and very easygoing. But right now, what you're seeing is that part that's controlling. I think what's really important, even in the way the question is worded, right? Why do people who are burnt out try to take over? So what we've done is we've made their identity somebody who's burnt out. And that they're not always burnt out. They're just burnt out. It's a temporary condition. So being willing to have a little bit of patience and humor around what's happening, knowing it's a temporary situation where they're trying to take over or where you're trying to take over, that this will pass once you're rested, once you're back on track, once you're kind of realigned and not feeling so burnt out. So those are my thoughts about that question. Hopefully that was helpful to anyone who's watching who either is the one who takes over when they're burnt out or dealing with someone who has that tendency. If you have a question that you want me to answer in a future video of Ask Dr. Saira, send me an email. You can find the contact information at the end of this video. And also check out our YouTube page, Dragonfly Wellness TV. There's lots of different interesting tidbits on that page. There's all the Ask Dr. Saira episodes are there. There are longer seminars and trainings and webinars that I've done in different communities and for different purposes. So check those out. Those are like training sessions like that you can have for free. So go check it out. And I hope we will see you next time. Bye.